the waves of the South China Sea are shifting again. But this time, two powerful alliances are moving in opposite directions. One side sails under the red flag of China, the other under the rising sun and the stars of its allies. And right in the middle of it all, the Philippines finds itself closer than ever to the front line of a brewing great power showdown. Welcome back to Shadows of Strategy. The tension began quietly. Beijing's announcement of new joint naval drills with Malaysia appeared. At first glance, to be routine military cooperation. But beneath the surface, it revealed a deeper strategic play. The People's Liberation Army, or PLA, chose this exact moment to begin operations in the South China Sea, precisely as the Philippines and Japan launched their own joint maritime exercises, just hundreds of nautical miles away. Two separate drills, two different alliances, and one message. The battle for influence in Southeast Asia has entered a new phase. For months, China has been watching the growing unity between the Philippines, Japan, and the United States with alarm. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement between Manila and Washington gave the U.S. military access to key Philippine bases, including those near Taiwan and the disputed Spratly Islands. Japan's entry into joint naval exercises marked another historic moment. Now, for the first time in decades, Japanese warships are operating side by side with the Philippine Navy in contested waters, and Beijing cannot ignore that. So, how does China respond? With a countermove designed to fracture ASEAN unity. The PLA's joint drill with Malaysia is not just a show of friendship. It's an attempt to drive a wedge between Southeast Asian neighbors. Malaysia, traditionally careful in balancing ties between the US and China, suddenly finds itself at the center of Beijing's charm offensive. The message from China is simple. Not every ASEAN member stands with the Philippines. Some still choose neutrality or quiet cooperation with Beijing. But behind this diplomatic facade lies a military purpose. Chinese naval analysts have long argued that Malaysia's coastline offers Beijing strategic depth in the southern South China Sea. By conducting drills there, China signals that it can operate freely even in areas far from its home bases. Satellite imagery has already shown Type 055 destroyers and supply vessels moving near the Spratlys, suggesting the exercises are larger than officially reported. For Manila and Tokyo, this is not a coincidence, it's a warning. As the Philippine and Japanese navies sailed together, their message was clear: freedom of navigation and deterrence through cooperation. The drills included anti-submarine warfare, aerial surveillance, and maritime interception, all key elements in countering China's growing presence. The Philippines provided its latest multi-role vessels, while Japan deployed state-of-the-art destroyers and P-1 patrol aircraft. The timing of these operations could not have been more symbolic. While China practiced joint defense with Malaysia, the Philippines and Japan practiced joint resistance against any attempt to change the status quo by force. And the symbolism doesn't stop there. The exercises coincided with the 70th anniversary of the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty, a treaty that has once again become the backbone of Manila's defense strategy. U.S. officials were quick to express support for the PH Japan drills, calling them a stabilizing factor in the region. But Beijing's foreign ministry fired back, accusing the exercises of provoking confrontation and external interference. The pattern is familiar. Every time the Philippines strengthens its alliances, China accuses it of escalation. Yet, every time China expands its presence, it calls it routine defense. For the Philippines, these contrasting narratives are nothing new. What is new, however, is the growing public support across the nation for a tougher stance on Beijing. From Manila to Zambales, citizens are increasingly vocal about defending national sovereignty. The government, once cautious about angering China, now stands firmer than ever. Defense officials have confirmed that future drills with Japan will expand to include joint command operations and even live fire scenarios. The Philippines is no longer just a passive observer. It's an active player in shaping Indo-Pacific security. But let's step back for a moment. Why does China care so much about these exercises? The answer lies in strategic timing. Beijing's leadership is under pressure from multiple fronts: an economic slowdown, a technology race with the West, and growing isolation in regional diplomacy. By launching a show of military cooperation with Malaysia, China aims to remind its neighbors that it still holds sway in ASEAN. It's psychological warfare, to project strength even when its position is being challenged. However, there's a risk. The more China pushes military partnerships in the region, the more it drives other nations toward the US-led alliance system. Japan and the Philippines are only the beginning. Vietnam has quietly increased its intelligence cooperation with Washington, while Indonesia has expanded defense talks with Tokyo. Even Malaysia, despite joining the PLA drills, remains cautious, aware that appearing too close to China could alienate its Western partners. In this chessboard of alliances, Beijing's aggressive moves might actually speed up the formation of a united front against it. The coming weeks will reveal whether these naval drills are isolated gestures or signs of a lasting divide. If the Philippines and Japan continue their coordinated operations, it will mark the start of a more structured alliance, one that could soon include Australia and the United States in a quadrilateral maritime coalition. For China, that would mean facing a multi-front containment effort stretching from the East China Sea to the Sulu Sea. The stage is set for a new kind of standoff, not a direct clash of firepower, but a contest of endurance, alliances, and strategy. The South China Sea is no longer just about reefs or resources. It's about the credibility of every nation that claims to defend international law. And right now, the Philippines stands as the frontline state in that defense. As the waves calm after these simultaneous drills, one question lingers: who gained more? China, with its calculated partnership with Malaysia, or the Philippines and Japan, whose cooperation now symbolizes the unity of democratic allies across Asia? The answer may come not from words, but from the next set of maneuvers in these contested waters. Because in the South China Sea, every exercise is a message, every alliance is a move. And every move brings us closer to the moment when diplomacy and deterrence finally collide. If you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who follow Asia-Pacific geopolitics, and subscribe to Shadows of Strategy, where we decode power, strategy, and the future of global conflict.